Hey, what's going on, you guys? So it's been about a month since I did my last video update on this topic. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is going to be my journey with NoFap after 180 days. So this isn't going to be a video about marketing. This is going to be more of a personal video. Now, if you've seen my first video on why I started my journey with NoFap, then I stated the reasons why I chose to do this. Now, to the average person, this might seem like something that's totally uncommon or outlandish, but there's actually a lot of celebrities and famous people who've actually practiced NoFap. People like Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Nikola Tesla, Steve Jobs, Isaac Newton, and even the Dalai Lama. I mean, that's kind of, a no-brainer right there, but the reason why is because there's just so many benefits when it comes to NoFap. So in this video, I just wanted to talk about the benefits that I've noticed after 180 days of NoFap. So since I've stopped watching porn and masturbating, one of the benefits that I've realized is that I'm starting to act more like a leader. So whenever I'm with a group of friends and they're just like, hey, what do you want to do, and they just kind of like throw it up in the air and say, oh, do you want to do this, do you want to do that? Like, I'm more decisive and direct about what I want to do. Even if it's not something that they want to do, maybe they do something else. I mean, that's all right by me. I don't mind just being alone or just doing what I want to do if I'm with somebody or without somebody. Now, ever since I was younger, I always had a problem with being a leader. I was not somebody who would make the decisive decisions and actually make plans. I would just follow or go with the flow, as they say. Now, what's crazy about being on NoFap for 180 days is that I started to realize that it sets you apart from just regular Joes, people who are just caught up in that lifestyle of just being sexually stimulated by what they see on TV or the internet. And it's kind of like I have an unfair advantage. It's like, people, the average guy, what they're thinking about all the time, they're probably used to just scrolling through Instagram and just being like horn dogs. But when you kind of give up that lifestyle, it's like you have an unfair advantage. It's like you're up here and everybody else is just down here. I'm not like looking down on anybody because I know the struggles of what it's like, but I'm just saying that it's kind of like having superhuman abilities. Now, another thing that I've realized is that I'm assuming more responsibility. So my old way of thinking is like, if anything goes wrong in my life, it's somebody else's fault. I would just look for somebody else to blame. And I think this is what most people have, that same mentality, is that anything that goes wrong is nobody wants to be responsible. They're not willing to look at themselves. They're just willing to point the finger and saying, oh, it's your fault or it's his fault. But after 180 days, I'm assuming responsibility for things that are my fault and even things that like are out of my control. I kind of look at it like, how can I have avoided this somehow? If I have something that I know I have to get done and I don't do it, I would assume responsibility, as opposed to before I got started, I would just make up all these excuses like, oh, there was traffic, or I got distracted, somebody distracted me, or, somebody is kind of like keeping me from doing what I have to do. But assuming responsibility is like necessary in order to grow as a person. Now, another benefit is that I'm not always thinking in a sexual manner. So if I see a girl, before I would always just think sexual thoughts. But you kind of look at it in a different perspective after 180 days. You don't just see her as a piece of flesh that you just want to fap to. You just see her as a human being, like we all are. We all are human beings. We have emotions, we have needs, and we're all in this together. Now, what I'm also learning after 180 days is that I'm learning how to transmute my sexual energy into something that's going to be more productive. If anybody who knows who Terry Cruz is, which I'm pretty sure almost everybody does, he's actually talked about this subject himself, where he's been addicted to porn, and it's been kind of like a secret that he's had, and it kind of like took over his life, and he addressed it.
I just want to address some things real quick, man. The subject is dirty little secret. And, for years, my dirty little secret was that I was addicted to pornography for years. Now, most of you who are on Facebook are using the internet. And it's kind of crazy because this thing has become a problem. I think it's a worldwide problem. But pornography, it really messed up my life in a lot of ways. And, you know, the thing is, it became a thing where I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody. It was a thing that it was my secret. Nobody knew. And that allowed it to grow. And it got bad. And when I say bad, some people deny it. They say, hey, man, you know, you can't really be addicted to pornography. There's no way. But I'm going to tell you something. If day turns into night and you are still watching, you probably got a problem. And that was me. It affected everything. I didn't tell my wife, didn't tell my friends, nobody knew. But the internet allowed that little secret to just stay and grow. And it was something that, you know, my wife was literally like, I don't know you anymore. I'm out of here.
So, obviously, I mentioned before in past videos on this topic is that I have more energy, but it's not just having more energy, it's just knowing how to use that energy towards something that's going to be more productive and more worth it. Now, I'm not going to lie, the first 30 days of being on NoFap, it was hard because I would just have this energy gathered up inside of me and I just didn't know how to let it out. But after a while, your brain starts to reprogram itself and use that energy towards other things. Like I mentioned in other videos that I read more. I've been focusing more on YouTube. I mean, as of this point, as of recording this video, I've been making videos every day for about almost 3 weeks. So that's kind of like something that's helping me be more productive. Now, I would say the biggest benefit that I've noticed is that I'm starting to grow mentality-wise and have a different outlook on life and just taking in life lessons. I have a different outlook when it comes to relationships. I didn't mention this in my last video, but about 3 months ago, I broke up with my girlfriend and I didn't have these thoughts of resentment or any bitterness towards her. If I wasn't on this journey, I'm pretty sure I would have those thoughts. I would have these thoughts of like anger or like how can I get back at her or anything like that, but I have a totally different mindset now. I actually enjoy the time that I've spent with her. I've grown as a person. I had a lot of good times. I've helped her grow and develop as a person, and I'm just grateful for it. But that chapter in my life is pretty much over, so it's time for me to move on. Now, I've watched other videos on this topic, and I've seen people talk about basically the same thing. When you're addicted and you're constantly using PMO, that destroys a man's ambition and their motivation. I remember before when I used to FAP, and pretty sure almost every guy has the same feeling. After you do it, you just have this feeling of shame. You would get this spike of dopamine once you do it, but then right after, you just have this low feeling and just have this feeling of shame. And you like, I used to think to myself, like, why did I even do this? You know, it wasn't even worth it. Now, after experiencing the benefits after 180 days, I mean, that's not something that I want to go back to. It's like I'm moving gradually up and up, like mentality-wise, energy-wise, physically. And if I were to just give in and just FAP, it would just take me all the way down right here. And I would have to build my way up all over again. So that's not something that I want to do. Now, another thing that I've noticed is that I've started to lose weight. Since I started this journey, I've lost about 18 pounds and I've been struggling to lose weight for years. I would always work out and I would try to eat healthy, but I mean, it was hard for me to eat healthy because when you work out, you're just starving, and then I would just stuff myself into the point where like I'm overstuffing myself and I would just feel super full. But I don't know what it is, but it's just giving me a certain level of discipline. I've learned how to stop eating after a certain period of time in the day. And that's actually helped me to lose 18 pounds. When I started, I was weighing at 213 pounds. And right now, I weigh about 195. So I think, yeah, it's about 18 pounds. So I'm still going to go down. My goal weight is to hit 180 pounds. And you know what's crazy is that when you're on this journey, when you're first starting out, it feels like the days are just taking forever. You know, it's like day one, you know, what do I do? You're just like, you know, but after a while, it's like you don't even think about it. You just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do NoFap, and I'm going to just see how long I can go, how strong my will is, and I'm not going to rub one out. But looking back at it right now, it's like time has gone by so fast. It feels like last month that I've done my first video on this topic. Now, what I wanted to say is that struggling with the porn addiction is a serious problem that most people or most guys don't even think that it's an actual problem. They just see it as something normal, because I used to see it the same way, because that's what is conditioning us all day. You see it on TV, you see it on the internet, Instagram, you see it in magazines. I mean, everything is over sexualized nowadays. So we start to think of it as normal. But when you're overly stimulating yourself by watching porn, it numbs your mind and it numbs your feelings. So it kind of kills your chances of having a real relationship with a woman where you can actually connect with her, not just in the physical form, but in the spiritual form. And watching porn can give you a false sense of reality, because I used to think the same way. Like when I would see like some porn, I would just think that's how it's supposed to be. This is how women are supposed to look, but that's not the actual case. Once you pull yourself back from all of that, it's just like you reprogram your mind, and it's kind of like being reborn again. I know it sounds like kind of like I'm trying to be deep, but that's what it feels like. It's like you're reprogramming your mind, and it's like you're hitting the reset button. So you're giving yourself a new chance to start over and just gain a whole lot of benefits. So if you're somebody that has been thinking about NoFap, or you've tried it before but you couldn't make it past a week or 2 weeks or a month, I mean, I would just encourage you to get started or try again, because it's definitely worth it. If you're somebody who's maybe lacking confidence, who wants to get more done, who's lacking motivation, just give it a try. And I mean, if you think that you can't do it, just keep this in mind. You've done it. If you've done it for years and years, I mean, you already know what your life is like and the results that you're getting out of life is with fapping. But just challenge yourself for 30 days. See how it is. And I guarantee you, you're going to notice a difference, and you're probably going to get a better quality of life after that. Now, I'm not saying that once you hit 30 days that you're going to be like Superman, because I was expecting that. I was expecting like to fight bears and everything, but some people explain that you get superpowers, but it's kind of like a different form. I was expecting to like levitate, but I'm still working on that. But basically, just give it a shot. If you're somebody who's thinking about it, don't think about it. Just do it, and you're gonna thank yourself later on. So that's basically all I wanted to share in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you learned something new or if you got some value from it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Well, that's pretty much it. So with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one.